I forget. Hello, hello. So it's good to be with everyone. First of all, my name's Phoebe, and we're going to start formally in just 2 minutes because I know there are about 50 people registered, and I know a lot of people are also not showing up because for the recording. So, but I do want to honor a little bit of that time. And we'll do a little centering coming together. But if you have a pen and a paper, you want to have that nearby, or a journal, just as we go through the centering, as we go through the experience that we're going to share tonight with some amazing inspirational leaders here. There might be some questions that come up, so you can jot them down. And what we'll do is we'll have an opportunity at the end to have more of an open dialogue. So if anything catches your eye or your ears or your heart, just jot that down, and then we'll have that experience together in a little bit. So how does that sound? Cool. Okay, good. So yeah, so just quickly, I have Kim, well, over on my left, Stephanie and Caryn, who are going to be co-facilitating, co-leading these upcoming retreats at the nOMad Collective, and we'll get an opportunity to spend time with each of them here this evening. But for now, like I said, I'd love to just bring our energy together and land here. So if you have the opportunity to just soften your gaze, or at least if you can, close your eyes if that feels good for you, and come to a place that is centering in your body. So if you need to move your posture around a little bit to do that, go ahead. And let's take 3 breaths together. Deep breath in through the nose, and just a big sigh it out. Let the day release and land here in your body and your breath. Again, just 2 more deep breaths in. An easy breeze of an exhale, sigh out. Just notice what you notice as your body responds to this next breath. Deep breath in. And an easy sigh, exhale out. And what I think of as we use these 3 breaths as a crossing a threshold into our inner landscape. So now that you have arrived in this inner landscape, just take a few moments to recognize what this inner landscape feels like, looks like, sounds like. And as you're in this inner landscape, I'm going to invite you to call in a plant or a tree, whether it be here in this inner landscape or somewhere in the world from your past, or maybe calling in the future to breathe with for the next few breaths, as if this tree or plant was with you, sitting in front of you. And as you inhale, you breathe in the oxygen that it's giving to you, the life force that it's giving to you. And as you exhale, you're breathing out back and giving it its own life force energy that it needs. Allow yourself to give and receive for a few more breaths with this beautiful tree or plant. And as you do, maybe you start to recognize that as you meditate on this beautiful tree or plant, that there's other elements that are enhancing this experience. Maybe it's the sounds of the ocean off in the distance. Or maybe you feel a little butterfly coming to sit on your shoulder that's fluttering by. Maybe you smell the incense in the air from a ceremony off in the distance. Whatever it is, just notice for a few more breaths. And then I invite you to just bring your hands over to your heart space if you haven't already, and breathe into this feeling as if it is, because it is already here for you. And if there's an intention, like just a word that encapsulates this experience that you're observing here in this inner landscape, that you're calling in, go ahead and just breathe with that for 2 more breaths. And then you can bring that here into the space that we're going to share here today. So you can anchor your body, maybe bring your hands to your legs or give yourself a little squeeze and let the eyes open. And yeah, welcome. Welcome everyone. The dog wants in, so I'm going to let him in, but you can just welcome yourself back. Okay. All right. So yes, again, welcome. My name's Phoebe Leona. And as I told you before, in my outer landscape, I'm dog sitting and he's very rambunctious right now. And I'm the founder of the nOMad Collective. So I know most of you all because we're going to co-create in ways. And I know there are a lot of people who are going to be watching this, but I'll tell a little bit more about the story of nOMad and our vision and our mission in a little bit, but I would love to just pass this off to some of the co-facilitators, co-leaders that will be leading some really inspirational retreats, and then we'll dive in a little bit deeper. So yeah, Stephanie, would you like to unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm coming to you all from Colorado. As far as if you want to know just a little drop, I guess, about me, is I'm a psychotherapist, transformation coach, and filmmaker, author, and just have loved doing retreats and loved connecting with Phoebe. We both had the same publishing company, and that's how we connected. And so it's just been a thrill creating just this synergy together. And we knew we were going to create a retreat. And so really excited to bring this igniting your spark in Sayulita.
Oh my gosh, I know. And yeah, Stephanie was also part of our Embodied Leadership Summit that was earlier this year. And we'll have more of a conversation about igniting our spark and what that all means. Because I know that's like, yeah, I know that lights us both up and so many other people. So thanks, Stephanie. And Kim.
Well, from igniting sparks to unfurling wings, right? That's spot 2 for these wonderful retreats. So a little bit about me. I am here in Montreal, although I am originally from Massachusetts, but most recently originally from Chicago. And I am a life and business strategist. Basically, I'm an advisor and guide for social enterprise leaders and individuals creating social justice and social change in the world. Part of what got me really lit up, and we'll go into more detail, I'm sure, Phoebe, in terms of kind of our synergy and how we found our way to this beautiful unfurling of wings. But part of what really gets me excited is having people tap into that well of self, and to find a place of clarity for which they can then create vision, so that they can move forward with ease, for themselves, for their organizations, and for the betterment of the world. So I'll leave that there, and we can talk more in a little bit.
Yeah. And we also did you were also part of our Embodied Leadership Summit earlier, but we bonded over chaos originally, which I think we're going to probably have to touch on in a little bit. And yeah, and our other guest for today is Caryn.
Hello. Well, I'm here in Beacon, New York, and I just also wanted to mention, interestingly, Kim, I'm originally also from the Chicago area, so fellow Chicagoans. And I'm the founder of Sattvic Fern, which is an Ayurvedic practice that's based here in Beacon, and I'm an Ayurveda practitioner. I just love working with people to help them to restore the health of their body through this ancient practice. It's 5,000 years old, and it helped to really revitalize me and bring me back from some challenging health issues. And now I just feel so fortunate to be able to share that with others. And I'm also just so excited and fortunate to be partnering with Phoebe on this retreat in Bali. Sorry, said that kind of funny. But yes, I'm very excited. So thanks for having me here.
Yeah, and little side note. So, when we're going to talk more about this, but Caryn was on my last retreat in Bali, and now she's going to be returning as a facilitator with me. Which I'm so excited about. We're going to dive into that a little bit. So, yeah, I feel that because we're bringing together some amazing inspirational leaders that you're going to get to meet more of, and we'll dive into these experiences. But I felt that it was relevant to share the mission, the vision of nOMad, and where we came from. So we're stepping into the 10th year of nOMads. We just celebrated our 9th year, and I was sitting here thinking about the original vision, and where I was in my life 10 years ago when I first had this vision was I was going through a very challenging time that I feel that I should share, because a lot of people who go on retreats or feel that call to go on a retreat, they're also going through some challenges or feeling that call to adventure. And so my call to the adventure was the death of my father, which was rather sudden, and then my divorce that happened 2 months after, which was also very sudden. And I was running a yoga program at the time, and it was filling me up in a lot of ways, but it was also leaving me to have a lot of questions about what kind of life do I want to have now that I don't have these two other very important people in my life. And I had made a lot of choices based on those two people, to be grounded in this one place, to be available to both of them. And I had structured my life so I was very, in this one place, but I had this passion to travel and to continue to open up the world to people in a different way, not just through the practice of yoga that I was teaching then, but in so many other different ways. So when I was sitting in that space of in between, of looking at my old life and what I still wanted to bring with me and what I wanted to create in my new life, I really wanted travel to be a big part of it. For myself personally, to travel the world, but then also to open these doors for other people. And so that's where nOMad came from, was to have these transformational experiences to give a greater sense of belonging and purpose for people who are also in their transitions, their spaces in between. Because what I've also noticed, and I think we're going to talk about it with each person here today, is when we travel, we start to see not only the world in a whole new perspective, but we see our own world in a whole new perspective, right? So we change when we come out of those old routines, we're changing our neural pathways. We're starting to not only just see what other people are doing in the world, but we start to see, oh, this is how I've been acting in my own world, and maybe I should make new choices, right, in how we show up. So that's the beautiful gift that comes from going on retreats. It's, yes, we get to go on beautiful locations. I mean, we're going to go to Sayulita in Mexico. We're going to fly with the butterflies. We're going to Bali and, be with in the various ceremonies there. But then there's something that just happens on such a deeper level internally. And I think right now, this is so important when there's so much chaos, there's so much darkness in parts of the world. We have to remember that we're only seeing a part of it on the news and social media. And yes, there is darkness. Yes, there is chaos, but we also need to remember the beauty that is happening all around us and within us. And so that's my why right now, is why retreats right now, is because we need to remember that we're part of something much bigger than what we think we are, on the day-to-day. So since the past 10 years, we've hosted retreats in Belize, Bali, Costa Rica, Mexico, the United States, and Nicaragua. And I've also led 200-hour and 300-hour yoga teacher trainings, and we've hosted other community events with 200 people or more in person and online. And as I mentioned before, Stephanie and Kim were part of our embodied leadership, where we had about 500 people attend. So this is now the next phase, is entering in and co-creating. And now we get to, I get to see Caryn in person earlier tonight, but now I'll get to meet Stephanie and Kim in person, give you real person hugs, and possibly, we'll see Hannah next month. She's one of our facilitators in Kentucky in May. And hopefully Christina will get to meet you too in person and give you a hug, and everybody else who's watching us. So I'd love to just kind of open up the dialogue now with each of these retreat leaders and kind of explore the experience. And I would love to know, starting with you, Stephanie, your why too. Like what called you into this retreat, this idea about igniting the spark, and also why Sayulita?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Phoebe. I have to say, I really just, this passion for doing women's retreats started a couple years ago. And that's probably when you and I first met. And a year ago, June, when I did my Becoming Fierce women's event. And to see, 20 women, 3 days, 6 international thought leaders, transformation in women that I had never experienced before. And so there's something like so powerful, right, about proximity and being in this kind of immersion experience that we don't get if we just maybe tune into a, online thing for an hour, or we read a book, which is wonderful, but to be there and to be in that immersion. And so, I'm in love with Mexico. I have to say, last year it was taking a group to Tulum. And then this year, as Phoebe knows, I was married in July, and part of our honeymoon was in Sayulita. And I just fell in love with this town. It's just got such amazing, beautiful energy, and beyond friendly people with this kind of multicultural vibe. And I could feel just the energy there. There's just like this beautiful spiritual essence being by the ocean, and beautiful yoga retreat places. So, I just felt really called. And honestly, one of the things I thought that was so interesting, because I was so busy earlier this year, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to put on a retreat or not. And I also do a radio show and podcast, Igniting the Spark. And it was one of my guests who I spoke with, and she said, oh my gosh, you're thinking of going to Sayulita to do a retreat in February? I'm going to be there the week after. Like, you have to do this retreat. This is just so important, and how we need it right now. I think Phoebe really spoke to that, and how important it is for us to remember that divine essence that, for me, is that spark that is alive and well within us. And sometimes circumstances or situations can cover that up. And so we have to do that work of, how do we excavate that? how do we continue to tap into that spark, that light that is us? And so, you know, this is an opportunity, like we said on our website, you know, that when women get together, you know, we laugh, we dive deep, and we grow. And so seeing this as one of those beautiful opportunities where we can come together and really have the spaciousness and the time to do that, you know, to really let down, to relax, to renew, to rejuvenate, and to allow that inner spark to really, it never goes out, but to really shine and be reignited.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you gave me the call, I mean, what gave you the nudge? I'm curious. I mean, what gave you the nudge to reach out to me to co-create?
It's so interesting. I mean, when I literally made that choice, when it dropped in, you know, I just received downloads when I know that it's, you know, it's not coming from me, it's above me. And so I've done all my retreats by myself. I've not had a co-facilitator. You know, I had speakers or presenters, but I was the one organizing all of it. I was the one creating everything. Thank you, loves. And
It's doggy hour.
I've been at the office all day, so they're like, hey, okay.
Mine settled down finally.
So it just, you know, it was like one of those things that's like, oh, I really want to co-facilitate this with someone. Like I think that we're in that place too in the world where we're realizing like we're so interdependent and we really need one another. And that I don't have to go this alone. You know, I don't have to do this, oh, pull myself up on my bootstraps. Like, wow, it's really beautiful to be able to depend on other people and to co-create. And so it was so interesting that out of, yes, all the people in the world, that's what came through. It was like, Phoebe's the one, you know, and you have such just a beautiful emanating light within you. And I just feel like to all my sometimes really high energy, you're this beautiful kind of through line that holds space in such a beautiful way. And so I just felt like the blending of our energy would just create something really beautiful for women to really dive deep in that way that we were talking about, to really be able to do transformation within this week.
Yeah. Well, thank you, first of all, for inviting me. And when you did, you know, I told you I was so giddy because it's like, oh yeah, I get to be with my one of my soul sisters. Yes. And I think that whenever you and I sit together on Zoom, I mean, we both just kind of smile at each other like, oh my God, how have we never met in person before? And what that energy is going to be like with the group when they come together too. To have that sisterhood that you just, it warmed my heart what you were just speaking to about like doing it alone. And I think everybody who's sitting here has probably gone through that for so many various ways. And when you said that to me, it just warmed my heart that you felt like you could depend on me and that I could provide that for you. Because I did see like doing all of the things. I was like, oh wait, I really want to help you. And that's what I'm hoping for our retreat specifically, is that with that sisterhood, we can create that for our group too, that we can lean into each other. We can support each other, not just for that period of time, but beyond that too. And that we'll continue these relationships and build something beyond that. So I'm so grateful you invited me. Thank you for that.
Oh, I love that, Phoebe. And I definitely feel like that's a part of what's really special about the retreat as well, because it's like when you are in proximity with people that are vibrating, when you and I get together, the vibration is so huge. And I think how wonderful, it can't help but raise the vibration of everyone that's in proximity. So it's so exciting to be able, again, to bring that energy and that level of vibration to the group. I'm so excited and so thrilled for that.
Yeah. So is there like one word? I mean, I kind of already know what it might be, but is there one word that would encapsulate this whole experience for the intention for the group?
You know, Phoebe, for me, and I know I'm wearing this sweatshirt, but this is it, right? So it's I think that one of the things is we hear like that cliche, like, oh, just be your own best friend, just love yourself. And it's not that easy. Like 36 years in, the mental health and personal development field, I know it's not that easy. And so this is, to me, it's a journey of love. Part of this is really learning how to more deeply love yourself and befriend yourself. And how do you show up in the world as this fully embodied as a fully embodied person and as a more authentic expression of who you are.
Yeah. The love.
Love.
Awesome. Yeah. Is there anything else you want us to know about this experience?
I think the beautiful thing about this is that it's really got so many different aspects to it. Is one of the things I love as well. I mean, yes, we're going to be doing yoga and we're going to be doing breath work and dance and we're going to be doing ceremony, and we have, this beautiful sound healing planned at the beach with this beautiful woman who lives in Sayulita and a cacao ceremony, and also spaciousness, time to journal. We have, those processes that do help you dive deeper, and get to know again and befriend yourself in a deeper way. So to me, it's just like this beautiful, full experience, combining the gifts that both you and I bring.
Yeah. So excited. I can't wait. Sign me up. I'm there.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie. Yeah. And then about a week or two later, we flutter over outside of Mexico City with Kim.
From the beaches to the mountains.
Yes.
Yeah. So you alluded to it earlier. I do want to start kind of from this place of chaos, because that's where our relationship started, which sounds really interesting because neither of us were in a place of chaos, but we were both speaking about it. We both had these keynotes that we were giving, and the subtitle for both of them was From Chaos to Clarity. And this, like, I when you were giving yours, because I was live for yours, I had reached out to you. I was like, I have the same title. We should talk. And it was interesting because the circumstances that led us to be talking about the same thing were very different. And yet, kind of, Stephanie, to what you were talking about, like there's this place where we all have very similar experiences through our own lens. And one of the things that, as we started exploring this together, I was actually at one of your workshops, and we had this centering, and came out of it and I'm journaling, and I'm like, oh shit, I have to invite Phoebe to do something to collaborate in a big way together. Like it came out. It was, that download was so clear, so loud. And I knew that I had wanted to be doing an in-person retreat in early 2024. And I reached out and I said, so I don't know, what do you think? This is what I'm thinking. And you were so cute. You were like, how could I support you in that? Like, what do you have needs? And I'm like, I think you're missing what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, this is us. Like, this is us. Because it just felt so clear that from that place of chaos came clarity. And just even in the way that everything has come together around building this retreat, it's come from such a place of clarity and such a place of ease. And I talk a lot about ease, right? Stepping into ease and finding ease. And that has been a pure joy of this whole process. It has come with ease, and it is coming with such clarity. And that's kind of the foundation that we're building off of for the people who will be joining us on our retreat in the mountains.
Yes. And I think it's really important to share the inspiration too, because you came to me and you said, okay, I can't remember how we got exactly around to the monarchs, but I know that you do. And you are just, talk about a spark.
It was a spark. Because so we were talking, we were exploring different places.
Yeah.
And I think we were both actually a little resistant of Mexico because, right, we'd both done retreats in Mexico. You were just, you knew that
I
you
didn't
had
want to
this one.
conflict with Stephanie's. as well.
Exactly. It was like there was some resistance for both of us, and we were looking elsewhere, and it wasn't coming easily. And we talked about one of the core things initially that we talked about was kind of coming out of the chrysalis. And I said, yeah, but I don't want to be cliche. I don't want to be about the butterflies, right? I want to be about what happens inside the chrysalis. And so we started really talking about, we did a little research, and I remembered what I had learned when we had the monarchs in the house. And what happens inside the chrysalis is fascinating. Because here's this little caterpillar, it's going along a branch and it finds the perfect branch. It knows the perfect branch. It lands itself there and it creates this cocoon around itself. And then it regurgitates all over itself with all of this acid and pulls itself down into mush. There's nothing left but mush. And then as it starts to rebuild itself, it's using its DNA so that they've been able to track it back to say that the same DNA that created the caterpillar's legs is what creates the butterfly's legs. The antenna of the caterpillar are the antenna of the butterfly. Two very different creatures that are one in the same. And so that's where we got super excited. I got super excited. I think you did too. It was like, whoa, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because when we go away, when we have this opportunity to put ourselves in this cocoon, right, which is what we're creating in our retreat, when you're in this cocoon, you get to, now we're hoping that there's no regurgitating, but we're like,
Maybe
we
the
don't want that.
We're hoping not for the Temazcal. Yeah.
But that we get to metaphorically pull ourselves kind of apart, right? And boil ourselves down just a little bit. And then build ourselves back up with the same DNA that got us there. So that when we spread our wings back open, we get to return home to our communities changed. And we're recognizing that change and we're creating that ripple effect and we're continuing, right? It's the butterfly effect, literally, when we move back into our communities. And so as we were exploring this, I was like, oh my gosh, do you know where all the butterflies go from North America? They go to one place. And that one place is where we're going. And they're very clear that like they're there until the end of March. And so we're going there and we're going to have this opportunity to be with them. And to hike up to the top of this mountain and be with them and do so many other things. We also talked about incorporating, one of the things that we're going to be incorporating are really looking at the elements, the 4 elements, and how we can utilize those to ground ourselves, to move ourselves through like water, like air. And so a lot of juicy stuff that I'm excited that we're going to be exploring together.
Lots of juicy stuff. And we're calling in a certain group of people in a sense. Do you want to speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, so really going back to that idea of embodied leadership, we're really talking to creatives, to visionaries, to those who are maybe a little bit shy, introverted, right? Who maybe it's a little bit of a stretch to even think about going on something like this, and yet you're being really called to it. It's that place that we don't tend to make the decision to put ourselves first. We are always in it. We're doing it. We're creating. We're moving things forward in the world, and yet taking this pause, taking this time for us to come together in community, to support one another and go through our process collectively, really does allow for an even deeper transformation so that we can keep going back out into the world and creating in the way that we're creating and making the change that we want to make.
Yeah. And your sign, and we always have to mention your sign. It's those people who want to do epic shit.
Yep. Let's go do some epic shit. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So And for you too, is there one word that you feel encapsulates this entire experience?
Yeah, expansion.
Expansion.
There's a lot of people that I know. So I do run a group called the Rising Visionaries, and it is a group of like-hearted. I don't like to say like-minded because, right, we all have separate minds, and I don't want to say we all need to think the same, but like-hearted individuals. And it is that place of expansion that they're all facing right now. And I think that continuing that in with this type of collective by doing this in the retreat. And then it also lends itself to that idea of unfurling our wings, because we become really expansive when we do that.
Mhm.
Really expansive, heart forward, open. And that's what the world needs now.
Yeah.
Right. As we continue to shift, and there is so much pain and so much darkness in so many different ways in all of the corners of the world. And the more we can shine our heart light, the more we can open ourselves up instead of being in fear and making ourselves small, the more light that does come into the world and the more change we can create. So,
Yeah.
expansion.
I like it. I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you feel like we should explore and talk about? Experience?
I just want to go back to the 4 elements really quickly, because there's something really special about this place, right? We have the air with the butterflies. We have the water with the waterfalls. We have the earth with the word I cannot say.
Temescal. The sweat lodge.
The sweat lodge. What did I, earth? Oh, air?
Fire.
That fire, thank you. And then we have our fire ceremony that we're doing as well, in addition to the sweat lodge. So we have these opportunities to play with the elements as we're with them physically, and we get to experience each of them throughout this process. I will say whoever, like, I am an artist at heart, so we've also talked about incorporating how do we bring that creative self forward? How do we create our vision and move forward? So there is, it is about deep transformation. It is about connection. And it is about that collective opening. So I think that about sums up my pure joy about this entire experience.
Oh yeah, me too. So you and Stephanie asked me at the same time, and I was like, but that's why I said, how can I support you for both of you? Because I was like, oh, okay, I have to. These are my soul sisters. I have to do this, and I want to do this. So I'm so grateful for you too for asking, and we're already planning other retreats in
We are.
Spain. She keeps sending me messages like, what about this place? I was like, let's get to Mexico first. Let's do this.
No, but we have to plan. These places book up.
I know. True. We'll start. Oh my gosh, Kim, I'm so excited to be co-creating with you too. Thank you.
Thank you for saying yes.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Yeah. And it's funny, as I said before, these 2 beautiful humans asked me to support them and to co-create with them. And it really just organically aligned, because for these 2 specifically, I really love you and want to support you. I was like, okay, what do you want to do? And I leaned into that. And how Stephanie looked at, okay, I want to help reignite their spark. I want them to remember who they are, their essence. And Kim wanted everybody to take flight and spread their wings and transform. And it just happened also chronologically. Okay, I'm going to be with Stephanie in February. I'll be with Kim in March. And then there was this other opportunity to be back in Bali. I did not have the plan to be in Bali. I won't go into all of the reasons how Bali wants me to do a retreat in April. And I thought, well, there's a progression here, right? Remembering who you are, taking flight, and then kind of picking up where Kim and I are leaving off of, going back and being in service, right? So bringing back the love, bringing back and really encapsulate and like really inspiring people to love more. And that could be love within yourself. That could be love with a new relationship, calling in a new relationship, romantic relationship, calling in your acts of service. And when I sat with that, I was taking these walks with one of my best friends, Caryn, who's starting her own business, and she's going to chat with me in a moment. And I was telling her, it's kind of going through a hard time with who I was going to be co-creating with. And then I looked at her, I was like, duh, you should be my co-creator. And she had been on the retreat with me right before COVID. It was March 2020 when we were there. And so, yeah, Caryn, we just had our first planning meeting tonight. So she's just learning what the vision is, and we're starting to co-create. But yeah, I would love to hear where you were at when I started to plant the seed, and what that looks like, and what you're kind of hoping to get out of this experience that we're going to share together.
Yeah. No, thank you for that intro there. Because and just to step back a little bit further, I really liked what you kind of said earlier about, how, well, I think everyone has touched on this, about how travel is such an important part, or it can be a big part of that transformational journey. And it's been a big part of my transformational story, throughout my life. And, I've been on many retreats. They've been more meditation focused. And, the one that I attended with Phoebe was the first kind of more movement focused retreat. And it was just very, it was very deep and transformational for me. And the interesting thing about that particular retreat was that it was so synchronistically aligned to my life at the time. I was in India on a Ayurvedic Panchakarma cleanse or retreat for the month prior to Phoebe's retreat. And when I looked at the schedule, it's like, well, why come home after that when I can go to Bali for 10 days with Phoebe? So, it just was kind of serendipitous and perfect in that way. And I just, India gave me this amazing transformation of my body that was deeply needed. And then going into Bali, I knew that it was about this transformation in my heart, and it really did deliver. And it changed so many things for me. And, since that time, I've completed all of my practitioner training. I've started my business, and, I've always felt so inspired by Phoebe and all of these, retreats that she does and workshops. And I thought, well, maybe down the line, that's something that I might look into. And when we were out on that walk that day and she mentioned it, I was like, yeah, yes, absolutely yes, in every way. So I'm really excited about it. We're still kind of working through some of the things, but one of the things I'm most excited for is there's an Ayurvedic practice that is it's called Abhyanga, and it's where one does a self oil massage. And the thing that's so lovely about it, just from a pure conceptual point of view, is the Sanskrit word snehana literally means oil, and it also literally means love. And so it's this beautiful practice of giving ourselves love and soothing our soul through a self massage with the oil. So I'll be excited to share that with the people, with everyone who comes along with us on this journey. And I'm really excited about the whole opportunity. So thank you for thinking of me, Phoebe.
Yeah, I love the full circle. And I will say too, I mean, Caryn was a huge part of my healing journey the last 3 years. I definitely was leaning into her Ayurvedic magic to heal my body, and I now practice Abhyanga every morning because that is such a gift to give. And I just want to speak into what you said so beautifully, is that when you came to Bali, it was about your healing of your heart. And that's what I really feel, this will be my 3rd time coming back to Bali. And I do believe I'm a in human design. I'm a projector, so I have to wait for the invitation. And if you get that invitation, you have to go. Like there's something really magical about Bali that just holds you. I mean, it's Mama Bali for a reason, because she holds you fiercely. And I just released a podcast the other day where I share a little bit more of my personal stories about Bali. I mean, she loves you fiercely. It's not all, rainbows and butterflies. There's a lot of shadow work there, but you come back in a way that you can't help but love more. You love yourself more. You love the people there. They teach you so much about how to embrace diversity. Having so many different faiths there, and they love each other, and they can see the light in everybody, and it's contagious. And being with these three women here is contagious as well. So whichever retreat that you decide to travel on, you will receive that in so many ways, times 10. Because I'm hoping, that's my hope for all of us here, whether you're here live or watching the recording or watching a clip on social media, that you can't help but want to be in the presence of these three very powerful, loving women. And I'll throw myself in there too, because I love to love. So I'll throw myself in there too. So this is a little bit of an experience that we have in 2024 at the nOMad Collective in various ways. And I'm going to be leading these calls monthly too, because Hannah was here briefly. She's hosting a retreat next year in Kentucky. We have a couple of other retreats that are coming up with other leaders, like Maria Martin will also be hosting in Bali. MJ, who is also a student of mine for 12 years, has transitioned to teaching yoga. She was on the retreat with Caryn. She was on my very first retreat 10 years ago. It was when I was having the mental breakdown, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And she said, why don't you lead a retreat in Costa Rica? I'll come. And I was like, oh, okay. So MJ will be with us next month and talking a little bit about her retreat. So we will be having these so you get to know more about the experiences that we're all co-creating. So I'd love to leave I know, Christina, you're the only one here that's now not a leader. Yay! You won the prize. But I know there are going to be lots of people who are watching the recording. But I'd love to just open it up for questions for us, and then anybody else who wants to share, Stephanie, Kim, Caryn, if you have any other questions for each other, feel free. But let's put you on the spot, Christina. Do you have any questions? And where are you in the world?
I hail from Brooklyn, New York.
Yes.
And I'm sorry I had to be off video for a while. I was putting my son to sleep, and we live in a tiny apartment, so he's like asleep behind me now. But I don't really have any big questions. But similar to what you all were saying about being drawn to something, I don't even remember where this week, Phoebe, I saw your information. And for years and years, I've thought of starting a women's collective of healers. And so I saw this and I heard about your retreat in Bali, and I've always wanted to go to Bali. But so I'm really excited to hear all the incredible work that you all are doing. And I'm not sure that I'm able to go on a retreat anytime right away. I don't have any questions though. I mean, I think I love all of your different perspectives and the different things you bring to the work. And I think that creating a collective to do this work is absolutely crucial. And I'm really inspired by the work that you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you. And Caryn and I are up in Beacon, so we're not that far from you. Yeah. Brooklyn North. Yeah.
I'm Brooklyn, far north.
Yeah. Far north.
You're in Montreal, you said, Kim?
I'm in Montreal. Yeah. Yeah.
And Stephanie, you're in Colorado, yeah?
Yeah, I'm Brooklyn, so far west.
So far west.
Oh my goodness. Well, is there anything else from you beautiful women that you want to share, ask each other questions too? I'll leave a couple minutes here for us. Do you feel fulfilled?
I do. I just feel thrilled to be a part of this and to get to hear also the amazing work that you all are doing in the world. And it inspires me. You know, I love hearing things like this, and it does give me hope as well. You know, that this kind of collaboration is going to be really the way of the future. And that this is, you know, each person being that golden thread in the tapestry of humanity. I mean, we need one another. So this is thrilling.
So beautiful. So beautifully said, Stephanie.
I was like, I don't think we need to say anything else. You said that absolutely perfectly.
Tied it like little bow. That's beautiful. Yeah. Well, yes, and I did drop, I know, more information in the chat, and I will be sending emails too with the replay for our dear friends. We had about 50 people signed up, but you know how that goes. We sign up for so many things and then we forget and schedule. And so I'm grateful that I remembered to press record. Thank you, Kim. And we will get this out to those others. And yeah. It's such a joy to be with you all. Thank you so much. And I'm so looking forward to co-creating, and maybe Christina, you and I will co-create down the line, or you'll co-create with one of these fine women in other ways. And yeah, we'll keep in touch for sure. Yeah. Reach out to me and we'll see what we can do there. So
Perfect. Thank you. And Kim, I do love that sign. I have to get one of those.
Thank you.
So good.
The combination of the love sweatshirt and the do epic shit sign is like,
They
right on
absolutely
point.
go together.
They
100%. Yeah.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you,
you.
Christina.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
bye.